if I make you host and it gives a hassle, then just will you record? Okay, Penina?
Yeah.
Okay. How long do you need?
About 20 minutes to speak, and then we can take questions after.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let me see if I can make you host now. Right, so Penina, I'm going to leave it to you. You're just going to introduce yourself. You and Spencer can run the show. I've had strict instructions from Spencer last night that I'm not allowed to say a thing. I've got to take a stum.
I thought you were introducing me.
Trevor,
of course I'm going to introduce you. Of course I'm going to introduce you.
Yeah.
But
I think
as you
just give
saw
it
the other
another
day,
few minutes.
Spencer and I have this special relationship where just mute yourself.
Why can't you and Gina share a screen? You can sit next to each other instead of opposite each other.
Yeah, do you want me to? Should I do it like this? Is that better?
That's better.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, lovely Linda. How are you, young lady?
I'm well, thank you. Well, thank
Always
you.
good to see you.
Thank you, Trev.
Right, so Spence, you tell me when you're ready to go.
Yeah, give it another 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Just hold on. I've just got to mute someone's sound. Okay, maybe. Is it not coming out on there? Okay. Otherwise, you can just come sit next to me. It's fine. Claw. Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Trevor, meet Trevor. Here's my Trevor.
Oh, is that your Trevor?
This is my Trevor. Say hello.
That's the
Trevor.
cutest cat I've ever seen. Especially with the
Cute,
name. You should rename him to Tuvia.
I didn't
Call him
name
Tuvia.
Trevor. I got given this cat and his name was Trevor already.
Is it?
So,
He looks wild and crazy.
No,
He's like someone else. No.
He's a kitten still, that's why. He's still a baby.
Okay. Right, Spence, I think let's go. We'll record.
Yeah, go. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
And let's see, always people are joining. Okay, so first of all, just well done to Spencer for setting up this. Just hold on a second. I don't know if I can do this because it's repeating on there. Just turn your volume down on your thing.
No, there's a delay on Gina's.
Yeah, turn it off. Turn it. Just come here. I think it's easier. Sorry, just we've got two computers running here. Right, so just well done to Spencer for spending all the time and the effort in setting up this relationship. Thank you, Spencer, for all your effort. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to some exciting times ahead. As you all know, well, not all of you know, but I've always been very passionate about the auction side and did quite a lot myself. But I just felt that, we needed a specialist avenue because my view is you either sell real estate or you do auctions. You must do one of them. And Nina is a senior, an agent at AuctionInc. And AuctionInc have established themselves as, I would say, probably, in my opinion, the leader in the residential auction space. There's obviously different kinds of auctioneers, heavy metal, this, that, and that. But our big thing is we want to sell houses. So we've set up the relationship. We've got our first auction on Sunday, Nina? And then we've got on the 2nd of May, and we've already got about 3, I think, lined up. So, and that's also well done to Sandy, who's been doing a lot of work getting all those auctions. And right, I think, Nina, you know more about it. As I say, I've been told no more talking. So the stage is yours. And just tell everyone, what's on offer, what you do, how it works. And I think for me specifically, Penina, it's because I do understand it a little bit, is just to get a core understanding of what kind of client needs to go to auction, because it's not everybody. You know what I mean? That once you understand the person that we want, It makes it, I'm not saying easier, but you need a specific client for auction at the moment in South Africa. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Panina from AuctionInc. Did you make me a host, Trevor?
Yeah, so that's what I've just got to do here now. Hold on a second. Mute, sorry. Make host. Right, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Host. And it's still recording, so it's cool. Okay.
Okay, great. So, yes, auctions have definitely become a way of selling in the country. In Australia and starting in America, Australia only does auctions. America is coming very close to that. And there's definitely a need for auctions in this country, as we've seen. So we are the leading company in South Africa in residential, not commercial yet, in residential. And there's definitely a need for it. And as Trevor said, and as Spencer reiterates, that the truth is that having an auction platform in an estate agency doesn't necessarily work. You're either an estate agency or you're an auction division. We specifically only do auctions, AuctionInc. And we don't really battle. We do have a partnership with Skyrise, but we ourselves don't battle in selling properties in an estate agency, just because it doesn't work. It's completely two different things, and they're two different types of sellers. I'm going to go through a little bit of our presentation, and then at the end, I'm going to explain to you exactly what a seller is, what a buyer is, and how it works. Let me just share the screen. Okay. Can everyone see? Hold on 1 second. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Can you see that it says AuctionInc?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so you can see the presentation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've now joined, thank you very much to Trevor and Spencer. We've now collaborated with you guys, You Realty. And this is our quick slideshow, that this is how auctions happen. This is specifically an auction that happened in our building itself, in our boardroom.
Oh, exactly.
Second now. Oh, I just don't know how to get out of that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is a little bit of history about us. We basically, 60 years experience in the game. We joined with Masingita Properties, Mark Nkune and Eddie Winterstein found AuctionInc 10 years ago. They were in auctions for 60 years before that. It was established in 2011. We are 51% Black-owned company, national coverage. Our CEO is Ari Ben-Yitzchak, and we are market leaders in on-site, online auctions. Why? Oh, there we go. These are affiliations. This is who we affiliate with. A lot of the time we affiliate with specific attorneys and Uber if we need a bond, but as you can use any attorneys you like. Okay, these are the sale methodologies. So basically we have 4 types of sale methodologies. The main ones that we focus are on-site and online. The difference is that on-site, we actually started this platform before COVID happened. And when COVID happened, it was absolutely great because we still continued business. And it also is reassuring for you guys because if there's a third wave and we need to stop on-site auctions, we still have the online platform. So it's not like we will stop selling your properties. How it happens is on-site, they come to the auction, they have an hour to view it beforehand. Depending on the property, we can take buyers throughout the campaign. They then come to the actual property on the day. So now, for example, Orange Grove, the viewing time's from 11 to 12, and then the auction will start at 12. Usually it happens on the dot. And people then register. They have to qualify. Buyers have to have a pre-approved bond, so they know how much they're spending, or they have to be paying cash, as well as they pay a 10% plus VAT, bidders premium, which is the commission above and beyond the purchase price, and 3.5% is a deposit part of the purchase price. So that adds up to 15%. Okay. If for whatever reason they do not get a bond, and this is exactly why, they lose that deposit, that 15%. Therefore, we say, and it's on the auction, we tell them every single time, and when they register, they have to have a pre-approved bond or cash, or they're going to lose their deposit. That's why it's also great for you guys in the sense that we're not waiting for a bond and the deal can fall through. Once a deal comes in on auction, it is 99% a deal. Nothing else can happen, and they lose the deposit if the deal falls through. Okay, online works the exact same way. Online, they do have to pay a 10,000 Rand refundable deposit in order to participate online. On site, you do not have to pay a deposit, and the reason is because we want neighbors, we want other people coming in. It's not like a show day where it's just curious. We want those curious people because it brings more of a vibe, it brings more of an atmosphere to the auctions, and the buyers think that there's a lot more people involved in the auction, and therefore that's what they want. That's what we want, because then their fear of loss, their egos get involved, and they think that this property is really wanted. Okay, multi-property auctions and closed tenders don't really apply to residential, although it depends. If we have a building, then we would do a multi-property auction. Okay. These are the properties that we've sold in 2021. We've sold a few more, quite a lot more, but this is basically the prices that we are achieving. So some people say, no, we're only achieving between 1 to 2 million. No, that's not true. We do any auction. Okay, the benefits of an auction, what is it? No commission payable by seller. So these are great when you're going to an actual seller, and this is what you tell them in order to get the mandate. So no commission payable by seller, the buyers pay the commission. The property is aggressively marketed. Offers are received are unconditional with a 15% upfront deposit. Properties can be sold within 21 days. Buyers compete for your property, which pushes up the price. That's why also when we have more neighbors and extra people at the auction, it really helps. And the sale can be concluded within 3 weeks. Okay, our marketing strategy. So we are the leading marketing in residential. We have professional photos always, as well as videos, and they really, really, really look amazing. There's featured listings online portals for properties campaigns. We do drone photography if needed, video walkthroughs. We have a database of 50K followers on social media, as well as our weekly newsletter. It's actually changed to 65,000 property buyers. They are our specific buyers, and they've already been qualified. We have 16,000 monthly web visitors, and with you guys, well, please God have some more. We have Google ads and remarketing, SMS campaigns and WhatsApp broadcasts and billboards and posters. The main thing of auctions, which is very different to regular sales, is our posters and our billboards. That is a huge, and this is what we'll start discussing about the marketing campaign. It is vital in order to sell your property. They really, majority of the time, our phone is ringing. It doesn't come from Property 24 private property or even our website. Majority of the time, it's coming from the phones, from people driving and seeing our posters and our billboards all over, budget boards, we call them. I'm sure you've seen them around. And the reason why auctions can do it and not sales is because there's a date on the auction, right? So we have to take it down. We actually have to have our posters licensed. Everyone has to. And it's only allowed to be up for 2 weeks. And because there's a date and time of the auction, that's why we're allowed to put them up in Johannesburg. Okay, this is our marketing campaign. Basically, you can just go through it. It's featured on all our major websites, as we know, throughout the campaign. So we really spent a lot of money in it. We've got video walkthroughs. We sponsor it on social medias. We've got print media, email banners, weekly auction newsletter, which goes out to our database. Then we've got, these are the signboards, as you can see. These signboards are about double the size of a regular state agency board, and that goes on to all the major intersections in and around the area that we're selling. We have poster boards that go, it all depends, that goes all throughout all the streets. We usually do 3 in a row, and the reason is because you'll first see it, the next one you'll start taking the details, and if you've missed anything, you'll see the third one to take the rest of the details. Professional photography. Now, let me just talk to you quickly about marketing, is that we do ask the sellers for a contribution towards the marketing. That is the only fees that they pay. It is minimal compared to commission, but unfortunately, it has to be paid upfront. It varies from 7,000 to 20,000, excluding that. The difference is that for a smaller property, say the 1.2, you can get away with between 7 to 10. For a bigger property, a mansion that you really want to cover the area in a wider area, you would then go between the 15 to 20,000 rand. What is it? What does it include? So basically, every single street poster and poster board. So these street posters with licensing costs about 120 rand each. These signboards, okay, costs 110 rand each. Okay. Then you've got the social media that we sponsor on, okay, the video and professional photographies that we pay, and then we have the featuring on the website. We don't just put it up, we feature it for the full 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So the difference is that when you are telling your sellers about it, it's that this is the key in order to sell, the key factor in order to sell your property. Okay, you've got a lot of people that not necessarily are looking to buy a property, but all of a sudden they're driving in the streets and they see this property and they're like, hey, you know what, let me go and find out about it. They're not, you know, when somebody's going on to Property 24, private property, they actually looking for a property. It's a buyer more for investors. And yeah, for example, we sold a property. I sold it with Spencer, not with Spencer, but Spencer had been marketing it. We took a property last year to auction, Glen Manor, and the buyer happened to just see the property through the signs. He was an investor. He doesn't really look for properties, and he actually, in fact, that property was on the market for 2 years at 2.2 million. Am I right, Spencer? 2.2 million that property was on the market for. We came in, we told her, give us a mandate at 2 million. Net in their pocket. Whenever we talk about price, it means net in the seller's pocket. We took the property on auction and the buyer came. There was a couple of buyers. In Glen Hazel, there were majority of investors looking because the others had already seen it and because it was on the market for 2 years. We put up a lot of signs. They wanted signs. They spent 15,000 rand on marketing. They wanted the signs to go all the way up to Sandton, Strathaven. That's where they wanted the signs to go up to. And it was in Glen Hazel. We said, fine, with pleasure, we did it. We did it along the highway, just off the intersections, off the off-ramps, etc. We took it to market. We got on that property 1.9 net in their pocket, excluding commission. That means somebody paid 2.1. When I went to the sellers and I told them who the buyers were, they said, what? I walk with him. I see him walking every single day. He knows me. He knows that I was selling this property. Why didn't he come to us directly? Because there was no mandate on the property. Why didn't he come to us directly and buy it? And they said, and I said to her, you know what the difference is that the auctions are the catalyst for the sale. And what happens is that just because he saw it on auction, he came to auction, we started the bidding, somebody started the bidding at 800,000 Rand. That's what we started the bidding at. And they got up to 1.9. Why? Because there was two guys there, their egos were involved and fear of loss was involved. And we pushed them up all the way to 1.9 net in the seller's pocket. They took the deal was done in about he paid the commission on the spot, the 15%, and it was done a few weeks later. So that is the difference between auctions and sales. But why did that deal work? Because of the marketing, because he saw it on the street advertised. He was never going on to Property 24 and private property. And that is the difference, that we need to have that marketing. It is vital. We did say, and I'll say this at the end, but we did say that unfortunately, there's a lot of people, desperate sellers, people that are being evicted from their houses that really cannot afford marketing. They just can't. I'm taking a few of Sandy's to auction and they just can't. So what happens? AuctionInc then lays out the money. Okay, but what happens if it doesn't sell? AuctionInc loses that amount and it continues. AuctionInc can be losing 3-4 auctions a week. And therefore the marketing, falls through the cracks and AuctionInc has to cover that up. So that's why we said the difference between our commission split is that it is, if I'm not mistaken, it's 25% to the agent. If it's 25% to the agent if your buyers pay marketing. Remember, our commission is majority of the time 10%. So it's quite a lot. You're not getting much more of a difference if you sold it yourself. And 15% if they don't pay for the marketing, because we need to cover that. We will then see throughout the campaign if they need to spend more. For example, the Greswold property, Sandy, we're taking it to auction next week and we're not getting a massive response. We do have 2 investors that are looking at it, but otherwise we're not getting a massive response. So what do? We now need to boost it on social media and on Property 24 private property. So what do? We spend an extra 500 to 1,000, which we don't even charge the sellers because they've already paid, just to boost the property in order to sell it. If it sells, amazing. If it doesn't, we lose that funds. But this happens quite often where we need to boost the campaign a little bit more. So therefore we take the cost of that. Okay. A buyer, when they're buying the property, when buying the property, we know how much is at stake. Our specialist brokers are there to walk you through a transparent process. Okay. So for example, they view the property, then they partner with an AuctionInc property specialist for any advice. They register as a qualified bidder. So we always make sure that they are qualified bidders. And when the auction begins, you keep bidding until the property is yours. When it's online, we're always phoning that buyer to make sure that they're, to see like, come, you need to go up, let's go up 50,000, let's go up 25,000, etc. So we make sure to get the price that we want. Okay, selling your property. This is vital for a seller. So basically what will happen is you guys will set up a meeting, you'll check, and we'll go through that, what a qualified seller it is. You'll check that it's a qualified seller for auctions. You'll then set up a meeting for AuctionInc to meet with them. The sellers will meet with AuctionInc property specialist. They'll then get a transparent proposal and a mandate agreement signed. An auction date will be set. We'll aggressively market your property and take care of all the details, and going, we'll sell it. We have to, in order to sell your property or to take it on auction, we have to have that mandate. That mandate is vital in order to sell it. Our mandate is we have a week of admin work, so we prepare the advertising, etc. 3 weeks, it's always online, the online portals, and 2 weeks, the boards and poster boards go up. And that's how it works in order to take it to auction. Why do we need a mandate? Because we can spend a fortune of money, we get the whole campaign, and then all of a sudden they go to their next door neighbors. Now the auction, we call it the auction, is the catalyst fund for sale. So the buyers now feel as if they are losing the property because it's going on auction and somebody's going to buy it. There's a time and a date that the auction takes place, so it's a limit. And therefore they phone the owners and they say, you know what, we'll put in an offer, we'll give you more than your mandate price, etc. That cannot happen because we've spent money, we've spent a fortune of money on advertising, and majority of buyers won't necessarily buy the property beforehand, but once they see that there's a fear of loss, there's a date and an auction date, they then want to start buying it. So that is exactly how the auction process works. When you have a buyer, you've given us the mandate and you have a buyer, the buyers need to come through us and speak to us as agents, auction agents, because we can then qualify them as buyers, see that they're the right buyers, and then take them through to the property and see if they would be interested in buying on auction. Okay, and this is our last slide. It's AuctionInc and You Realty. You, as in you, the realty agents, need to qualify the seller, seeing that the seller is ripe for auction. What does that mean, the seller is ripe for auction? The seller, if they are just testing the market, we stay far away from those sellers. If they are desperate to sell, we usually take on the mandate below market value. So the difference is if they are desperate to sell, for example, eviction, or they're emigrating overseas, or they've already bought a property and they really, really need to sell, then we'll take it to auction. As I said, if they're testing the market or seeing if they get their price, if a seller comes to you and says, I want my price, I'm not budging on my price, we're not interested in taking them, because that's not how it's going to work with auctions. The beauty of auctions is it advertises as POA, which is price on auction. Therefore, in order to put it on the web, every single other agent needs to take it off their website, whoever's advertising it, because they have a price. Some of the time, we get more than what the property actually has been advertised because of the fear of loss and the ego involved at the auction. That is why we write POA. We never ever tell a price. If somebody's asking what's the mandate price, we don't tell them a price. We tell them, for example, say the price is 1.2, we'll say lower to middle one, so that they know, for example, where they had it, but we'll never tell them an exact price. On auction, we try and get as high as possible. And if it's already been advertised as a price, there is no way. One of our agents went to an auction last night with another company. They had an auction going on. And he said not one bidder showed up. There was no one to bid. So I asked him why. And he said to me, because the auction agent advertised the price on Facebook. Therefore, no one showed up. The property, the mandate must have been between 7.2 to 7.5 million. No one showed up to the auction. There was no bidders. If he would have just advertised it as POA price on auction, people would have showed up because they think they're getting an unbelievable bargain. But when they're actually at the auction, as I said to you, their egos are involved and they don't necessarily they think they're getting a bargain, but sometimes they don't, depending on how many bidders are at the auction. Another property that we took to auction, the one in Sunny Road, Spencer, market value was 1.6 all in. That's including comp. So they're probably going to get about 1,450 in their pocket, 1.4 in their pocket. We took it to auction. There were two bidders and they were bidding against one another. We got on the property 1,850 excluding comp. Somebody paid for it, close to 2.1 on their property. The market value was 1.6. It was a disgusting house. How did we advertise it? Fix me up and make me home. That's how we advertised it. We got 40 people at that auction. There were about 10 registered buyers, proper buyers, and they were bidding against one another. We never even had a proxy there. They were literally bidding against one another, and we got it up. Why? Because there was a fear of loss involved. That property would have never, ever, ever gotten that price if it wasn't on auction. And we never advertised it as a price. We said POA, price on auction. So nobody knew a price over there. So it really was great. Okay, how does it work? How does You Realty work? You, the agents, need to qualify the sellers. You then make sure that you build the relationship between the sellers and AuctionInc agent. So you check that they're good sellers and that they're ready to go to auction. Then either you can set up a meeting with myself or through me and through Spencer, who goes through me. And then if I can't handle it or I'm not an area specialist in that area, I'll then pass it on to one of my colleagues and the same deal will work. We are all qualified specialists and we all have been in the industry for a long time. Okay. If sellers pay the marketing, it will be a 25% comp split off the top. We never ever do it via the agents. When we do with another agency, it's always off the top. Okay? If the seller cannot afford to pay for the marketing, it will be a 15% split and marketing will come off of proceeds of the sale at the top, from the top. Once the mandate is signed, AuctionInc will run the entire campaign. Any buyers that come through, they'll send them to the AuctionInc agent, because we can then qualify them as a right auction buyer. And that is it.
Penina, just one statement. Thanks very much for that. It was very informative. Just for clarity, that you get, I mean, most, I know they're not all the same. You get 10% of that's your standard mandate rate of the commission, and we get between 15 and 25. So I just need to understand that. What they're doing is they're giving you a referral, they're giving you a name, you doing all of the work, all of the marketing, etc., etc. But if you sell a house for R1 million and the com is 100,000 rand, we get between 15 and 25,000 rand on a R1 million deal, and that is then shared in the You Realty split. So that's what the agents get. They get 75% of that amount. So we just need to be clear on that.
Correct. Okay. Correct. So it's a 10%. It's not a 5% like a regular agent.
Yeah. So you get a much higher commission, which the agents. I mean, what I'm saying is a lot of agents look at numbers and they think about, oh, it's like not worth my while to do it. But the reality is a lot of our agents in our business are doing deals at 3%. So 25% of 10%, you get what I'm saying? It's like doing a full deal, especially.
You also have to understand is that majority of the time, the properties that we take to auction, you can't sell yourself a lot of the time, and you need the auction process. So basically, it could be properties that you've already tried to sell for the last 2 years and you can't do it. And now the sellers are becoming desperate and you just can't sell it. So you pass it on to us and you basically do nothing, and it gets sold and you get the money.
Cash.
Exactly.
Right, we like that.
A lot of the time, it actually is worthwhile for the agents, to continue to do this way of marketing.
Okay, Penina, so just a couple of questions. Are all the current modalities at the moment regarding obviously more acceptance of online, right, which is definitely a growing thing, are all auctions conducted at the moment on site and online, or a lot of them still purely online?
Okay, so majority of those that do not have a garden, so for example, a flat will be on site, and that's during the week.
Okay.
And those that have a garden, so that people can social distance, will have it on site, which is only on the weekends. Sorry, online during the week.
Okay, so you'll tell us what particular auction, how it's going to be done, so we know whether it's on site and online.
I can just tell you, for example, I've got 3 properties from you guys. Thank you so much to Sandy. Our Orange Grove one, it's a house, so it's on site.
Yeah.
Our Greswold one is on the 2nd floor in an apartment building in Greswold, Veron. Therefore, that's going to be online next week, Thursday. And then the following Sunday, the 2nd of May, we have Sandy's daughter's auction. It is a loft unit, but we also can use the complex driveways. And that's where we're going to hold the auction, or we can go to the clubhouse over there. So therefore, that's why we can do that on site. Personally, I personally, you can speak to other agents and they disagree with me, but personally, I prefer on site to online. The reason is because you've got people right there and they're bidding against one another. Humans have a lot of ego and therefore they want to win the property. So they'll bid against one another, but you can speak to agents. I've got one agent that is phenomenal in Greenstone. He's now moved all around. We don't do specific areas. Every single agent does all areas around the whole of South Africa. We can do Cape Town. We can do, as you said, Pietermaritzburg. We can do Durban. Durban's amazing for auctions. So we can really do anywhere. So one of our agents only loves online and he sells, he gets above. I mean, he sold last week a property. I can't remember. Oh, it was actually in Pretoria. He sold, it was a student accommodation. So we also do commercial industrial. He did a student accommodation. The mandate was 2.4. He got 3 million excluding bidders premium. That means he got 3.3 for the auction. That's almost $1 million above the mandate price. And that was all online. So it can be.
Okay, so obviously, you know, well, not obviously, but we've got teams now in Pietermaritzburg. We've got Magic and Pollock out in Shoshenguve. We've got guys in Cape Town. So, you know, our goal is obviously growing a national business. You would be able to cater for auctions everywhere. Is that correct?
Correct, but then it will be on site.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in a lot of these places, for example, the whole of Cape Town, we cannot put the poster boards and budget boards. So it'll be purely advertising online. It does sell, but it will be purely online.
Okay, so all we got to do is introduce the property to you. You'll assess whether it's auction. We're going to rely on your expertise to assess whether it's a good, okay, is that fine? But obviously for us, it's quite important that we've got access to the national market, you know, so we can get more. How do we watch the auction if we don't want to register?
Facebook. Majority of the time we stream it on our Facebook page.
Okay, so the one on Sunday, we just what? We got to just look on
Oh,
your...
no. So the one on Sunday, because it's on site, we are not streaming it online.
Oh, you're
There's
not
no
streaming
fee
it.
for it.
Okay.
So yeah, it will be at the property. You are all welcome. I don't know how many bidders we'll have, but as I said, we might be having a pre-auction offer. We can accept pre-auction offers. It depends on how close it is to the campaign and if the sellers agree to it. If the sellers want to accept it, we'll pull the campaign off.
Okay. Right.
Any more questions from anyone?
I have a question, you know.
Sure.
So I deal with quite a few developments, selling developments. A lot of them are subject to sales. So in that instance, would you kind of have a bit of a reserve price? Because obviously you need a guarantee of a certain amount overthrough for the purchase of the next property.
So that is on the mandate.
Okay.
That reserve price is on the mandate. But if we don't believe that they can get that price on the mandate, then we won't even take it to auction. It's not worth it for us. But developments are amazing. We really do have an unbelievable commercial team. And as I said, you know, you're not necessarily going to be dealing with me. You're going to be dealing with the expertise in that area.
I think, Mark, just, you know, it's taken me a long time and I've spent quite a bit of time in it. You've got to get a different mindset with your sellers. So, you know, especially the more established auction companies, they don't take a view like hit, hope and pray. Like they've got to have success. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's no good, even if you're getting the marketing paid for. We can see all your emails, Penina, out of interest.
Oh God, am I still showing my thing?
Yeah, just.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just thought I would stop you with that. But just remember, guys, like when the auction, like as Penina said, it's nice to have your marketing covered, but you can't run a business that just has marketing with no success. So the critical thing with the auction companies, and I would obviously assume you yourself, Penina, you don't take everything. If you believe you can't get the price, or if you've got a seller that's not going to take an offer when they get it, you're not going to do it. So it's
you can ask Spencer. Yeah. You can ask, first of all, we spent a fortune of money. Also, you have to understand, we don't take on more than 4 to 5 properties a month per agent. Why? Because they're mandates and because they're auction mandates, we honestly dedicate our entire time to those campaigns. Therefore, we don't want to overextend ourselves. There's enough of us in the business. There's about 20 brokers of us. 5 of them are really unbelievable commercial agents. And they don't take on so many because they want to make sure that it is the right property and it's the right property. That's what they want to make sure. You can ask Spencer. Spencer took me to 2 houses a couple of weeks ago. And I said to him, sorry, Spencer, I'm not taking it on. It's too high. He needs to drop his price. And if he doesn't, then I can't take it on. We'd rather walk away from a property and wait till the sellers are desperate, if you know what I mean, urgent sellers. But Michael, what I would suggest is if you can't sell them, I would speak to one of our commercial brokers, see what they say. They can give you a very, correct approach and tell you what price they think that they can get. Also, they have a lot of buyers on their system, so they can do a deal with you without even selling. We sold a building yesterday in Randburg. He didn't even have the mandate yet, and it was on auction terms.
Just another question as well,
Yeah.
Nina. So I've been dealing with a client. There's properties going on auction now the 28th of April. How would you guys kind of assist in getting involved with a person to refer that through to? Because they had a mandate that ended on the 10th of April, and now it's going on auction on the 28th of April now.
So what I would do is whoever the auction company is, they have a bidders pack, right, that they've made. We make a bidders pack to send out to qualified buyers. You would send that bidders pack to one of our agents. We can put it on our auction group, and they can then see if they have a buyer for this.
Okay, perfect. Thanks,
Okay.
Nina.
Sure.
Nina,
Hello,
Hello?
is there anyone else? Yes.
Gabby.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I have a question. If we have buyers, you go to auction, you have the mandate with the seller. What happens if we refer a buyer to that auction?
Then you'll also get a higher commission.
Is there a high commission?
Correct.
Okay. And then the other question is, if we obviously have a seller that we're trying to sell, but we believe that it can go to auction. We come to you, it goes on auction, it doesn't sell. What happens? We would obviously like to keep that as a client afterwards if it doesn't sell, and to continue trying to market it afterwards.
Okay, so we can definitely do that. That's fine. The truth is that our mandate, it's actually 60 days. I'm sorry, Trevor, I thought it was 90. It's 60 days after. We can negotiate that to about a month, even 3 weeks. And the reason is because a lot of the time it won't sell on auction day, but the posters will still be up for a couple of days later. It will still be up on Property 24, and we'll still have buyers that need to buy, that want to buy it without doing the auction terms. Or they just decided, you know what, it's gone to auction. Maybe the sellers are a little bit more desperate now. I'll offer an offer after auction. That's a lot of the time what we do have. And therefore we need those couple of weeks in order to work with that buyer.
Yeah.
Once those weeks are over, with pleasure, you can take your mandate back.
No, so I think at that point, I think we need to I mean, I'll talk to Trevor, because we've had a bash, you've had a bash, and we need to look at a way that we can't sell it, you can't sell it, that there has to be kind of a more of an open approach to both parties to try and sell it afterwards if it doesn't sell in the auction.
Perfect. So as I said to you, we do need those 3 weeks just to work with those buyers that are going to call back after auction. I've sold many properties like that. Literally a week after auction, somebody phones me, oh, I missed the auction. Can I put in an offer now? And they buy it. Yeah. So that's what we do need. But then, as I said to you, we can definitely discuss that and give you, back your mandate with pleasure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I think, Panina, just going forward, I mean, obviously my experience in the auctions is that a lot of the action happens after the auction, which that part I understand in the mandate. But what do you do, like, if you've had an auction where I mean, you don't sell property by private treaty like we do. So the thing is, what happens if you have an auction, there's no interest, and like after 2 weeks, there's no interest. Now you've got nothing that you're working with. I mean, do you ever release the guys out? Because once they're out of the auction mandate, it's fair game. I mean, we can sell it because you're not going to be selling it on private treaty.
So this is so it's all, I mean, we always say it's case by case situation, but yes, definitely we will release that mandate to you, no problem. Listen, at the end of the day, we have a working relationship and we want to keep this relationship and we want to keep everyone happy. So we will release it, as I said to you, even if it's 2 weeks.
I mean, you don't want to keep someone locked in.
No.
You can see quite clearly that you're not getting any interest on it.
Correct. So us ourselves don't necessarily want to sell it on private treaty.
Yeah.
Unless the sellers ask us. So, for example, we had a property and the sellers want to keep up the mandate going for the 60 days. So what do? We then still put it on AuctionInc, but with a price. And then we have a private treaty offer if need be, and we'll put it on if anyone buys it, then it will be on private treaty. But having said that, once the 2 weeks are up, we'll give you back the mandate with pleasure. We're not trying to hold anyone prisoner. And also we've had properties where we don't sell, We don't want to work, we're not estate agents, and we don't want to work as estate agents because, as I said, we're focusing on our mandates that we have. So we'd rather completely release it to you, give it back to you, and let you work on it. We do, as I said, you need those 2 weeks in order to work with the buyers that are going to pull after auction. We also have like underbidders, like if it doesn't sell to the bidder or the proxy is the one that bids, we now have to go back to those underbidders and try and get in an offer from those underbidders. So we need that time to work with.
Hi, Fina. I'm
Yes,
Victoria. I'm sorry, I came a little bit late, but I've got a question here. I want to find out, does the property goes for auction because maybe it's owing the bank and the seller is desperate, or the property goes on auction if the seller is desperate for that property to be sold quickly? Please,
yes,
can you explain
that's
to
what
me?
we have now, definitely. And a lot of the time, people that are about to be evicted from their houses, what they'll do is, once banks love auctions. They do, because there is a time and a limit. And especially those that are being evicted, it's much easier to sell on like before they get evicted because they are desperate for any price possible. They just need it sold, right? So what will happen is they will then show the banks, look, give me an extra month to sell my property or an extra 6 weeks. I'm taking it to auction. So there's a date. And that's what the banks need to see. They need to see that. They need to see the mandate that they're taking it to auction and there's a date. And then they can start the eviction process after the 2 weeks of the auction.
Nina?
Yeah.
All right.
Just another question. When you do the mandate for auction, over the 3 weeks that you're advertising and marketing it, is it possible for us to market it, obviously with no price, but for the auction? So if people are going onto your website or seeing the boards, if they go to Property 24, that property, we change our advertising for that period of time, so we might get names for auction and then pass it on to you.
You probably could. So you're up POA. The problem is that if you've been advertising it before as a price, then when the buyers come, a lot of the buyers will see, oh, wait, now you're taking it to auction. I already know the price, and it's because it's the same advertisement.
Nina, can I just interrupt on that? That's not what I want to do. Like, you know what? Like, obviously, you see, I'm marketing your stuff on Facebook, like the stuff. I'm doing that, but I'm using your marketing. I think the important thing is the actual role of our relationship with you is to give you the lead and you do your graft. I don't like the view with my company is I don't want to get involved in doing what you do. I want to just have an avenue. So the thing is, Neil, if we start cross-pollinating marketing and do, that's why AuctionInc are the, that's your expertise. It's your expertise to market it. It's your expertise to do it. I think I'm just using like whatever you've got to try and bolster it. You get what I'm saying? I put it on Facebook, but I'm not changing the marketing strategy. So I don't want to put it on Property 24. I don't want to do anything like that. I just want to say, Nina, here's the lead. You give it to the right person in your business. You get what I'm saying? And you do your work. Like I just bring you myself 5 leads a month. You sell them. I'll take the cash. Thanks very much.
Exactly. So I was speaking to Spencer last night about it. And what we're going to do, Neil, is on our specific website, whichever auction belongs to You Realty, we're going to put You Realty logo as well on the front page of that specific auction. So when, Trevor, you're advertising it on Facebook, you'll see that the You Realty logo will be on it as well as we're going to create, we're putting money into this, we're going to create a blog on our website to explain the relationship between You Realty and AuctionInc. Our CEO is going to be writing that next week, and it should be up by the end of next week.
I don't want ego, I just want the cash.
Perfect. No, but this will
just sell the houses. That's all. I just want the cash. Easy cash. That's
totally.
Nina, did you see Sandy put a comment which it's her daughter and they're not desperate sellers, but Sandy needs to understand that the way that the auction marketing works is we're preying on the buyers to feel that it's a desperate seller, that it's a deceased estate, that it's 1 foot on the aeroplane, that it's so
Correct.
Just explain that.
Okay, so basically it's not necessarily as a desperate sellers, but you want the buyers to think that it's desperate sellers. And when the buyers think that it's desperate sellers, they come to the auction. And therefore at the auction, they're bidding against one another because there's a lot more people interested. And lo and behold, and you'll see what happens is it is such a rush. The auction takes maybe 5 minutes, not even 2 minutes could be. Yesterday it took about 30 seconds. We had an auction over here. So it takes very quick. Why do you want it to be so quick? Because you don't want the buyers thinking and overthinking it. Usually what will happen is the buyer will see a property. They'll then say, okay, I'm going to put in an
Nina,
offer.
sorry, can I interrupt you? Can you stop sharing your screen and show us your face?
I don't know how to do it, but I made you host.
Oh, have you made me host? No,
Yeah.
it's not possible.
I did make you host.
Well, let me just see if I make you. Hold on.
Trevor, you can just pull and widen
Oh,
so
there.
you can see
Okay,
gallery
can you-
There
view.
we go. Right. Okay. Done.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, sorry about that. Basically, what will happen is that the buyers think that they're desperate. So a lot of them will come to the auction. Way more of them will come to the auction, and then they won't even think about offering more than it's market valued, right? Why? Because it's so quick and there's so much ego and fear of loss involved. They're literally fighting against one another for the property. They then right then and there. We make sure at the auction to get the offer in and signed right then and there, okay? And we try and get them to put in the deposit right then and there, that 15% deposit. If we can get them to put it in, it's complete done deal. We never say that a deal is done until the deposit's in our bank account. So that's exactly what happens. It's the same thing that happened with Glen Manor. It's the same thing that happened with Sunny Road. They paid over market value on it, literally. But they did it right away. They put in the offer right then and there on the spot.
In terms of just your criteria, so you've got to come with a pre-approval or you got to come with cash. And it's a non-conditional offer where you put your buyer's premium down. What happens if your client comes with a pre-approval, puts down the 15%? I'm sure it never happens, but what happens if the bank doesn't find value? So the client's fine, but the bank goes and they don't find value and the bond doesn't go through because there's no value on the property.
So honestly, have you ever had a property like that where the bank doesn't find value?
Well, look, in the years, yes, I have. But, you know, like, and they're marginal at the moment on certain ones. But I have, in my business, I have had deals fall through because there's no value. And obviously for my business, with sometimes no deposits, a buyer gets a massive scrick when the property they've bought, the bank doesn't find value. So I'm assuming, obviously, with the auction stuff, it doesn't happen. But just if it does happen, you can't keep the deposit then because it's through no fault of their own.
Correct. So then we would refund it. We do have, unfortunately, sometimes where we do need to refund it, and we do, but it's very, very rarely.
And then in terms of your due diligence, are you qualifying the buyer? So if I come to you and I say I want to bid, do you deal with your own originators and get that pre-approval, or can a client come with any pre-approval?
They can come with any pre-approval. Okay. We do like going through our own, just like yours, because our own will keep us updated. Theirs won't necessarily keep us updated. And also, majority of the time, they already come with a pre-approval. Also, what I wanted to tell you is that if, for whatever reason, we had a property now in Sunningdale, and no one else was interested in the property, but a buyer who needed, it was a conditional sell on her selling her property. So if we don't have anything else, we'll always present an offer and see what the sellers say. So there's no clear cut usually, but sometimes they really want the property, but it's a conditional offer. So we will take that, but only after the auction and there's no one else interested.
Anita?
Yes.
Show us your face, Neil.
I'll show it now. It wasn't good earlier on, but I think it's okay now.
What have you put your makeup on?
Trevor, my brain's been muddled by that. The pre-approval, is a pre-approval needed before they can bid?
Yeah. Because remember, they're paying the deposit. If they win the bids, they're paying the deposit right then and there on the spot, and they will lose it if they don't have a bond.
So, I mean, you can get a pre-approval online, I would imagine, or you can go to a originator and get a more in-depth approval.
Correct.
Do you expect both or just the latter?
Just a letter. You don't necessarily, it's actually for the buyer's sake. It's not necessarily for our sake.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, we don't really care if they have a pre-approval or not, because if they paid that 15%, it's gone.
Yeah. You're not
You
putting
know what I
down
mean?
15%
You'll get our
and risking
commission.
your money.
Exactly. So the buyers aren't putting down the amount without making sure that their finances are in order.
Yeah.
I think the
And then
big
the
thing,
next
Panina, is the
thing
two
is-
things is the money that your sellers put in, and this is the difference. I call it tin in the tank. When even if it's $5,000, when a seller puts in 5,000 Rand of their own money, you know they're serious. When they're prepared to put in a little bit of cash to throw at the problem, because there is a problem, and this is the issue. And the other part is when you've got a buyer who's going to put on 15%, he's also serious. So I always look and I say, when you're putting skin in the game, when you're putting tin in the tank, you're serious, and both of them are serious. And I think that's what you want to do.
And also, Trevor, when you're putting in $7,000, it's like a funny psychological aspect is that when you're putting in $7,000, but you getting an offer 200,000 less than what you really wanted, you'll take it because you've put in money and you've invested into the process. And that's also why we make sure that the marketing comes up.
Well, I think another thing also, Panina, for me and the experience, as you know, I know Eddie well, we've spoken about it, I've done auctions myself. Have
you told Eddie?
Hey? No,
have you told Eddie?
But I've told Mark, but I must tell him, yeah, I actually told Mark the other day, because, he's with W&A,
Yeah,
very good friend of mine. So, and he actually said to me, you made the right decision. He said AuctionInc are the specialists in the residential space. But the thing is, what I also found on the auction we did, excuse all I call them Richterisms. You never know how a seller will react until they've been punched in the face. And what I found on the auction side also is that when the seller's sitting in the room or he's seeing online and an agent is telling him, don't worry, a normal agent, I'll get you 3 million, I'll get you 3 million. They're listening to the agent. But when they come in the room, now they see real life people and someone puts up their hand at 2.5 million Rand or whatever that number is, the reality sets in. In other words, there's nowhere to escape for the sellers. They look and they think, hold on a second, I've actually seen the information coming to me firsthand. Not from an agent. They've got people in the room, they see the bidding. So sometimes the reality of it, I think, makes the sellers realize this is the number that it is.
So unfortunately, we don't allow the sellers to be at the
don't
auction.
you? Okay.
And the reason is because a lot of the time, buyers will identify who the sellers are. They'll go up to the sellers at the auction and say, wait, how much do you want in your pocket? Or what is this? Or what is that? And start asking them crazy questions. Remember, when we're selling a property, also it's footsteps. It's footsteps. They can't come back to you and say, well, now we found damp, so we canceling the property. You can't do that in auction. It's literally footsteps. And that's why we can sell what we sell. So that's why majority of the time we don't want sellers there. They can watch it on the auction, but we can show them videos afterwards and we can tell them about it. But also what's nice about it, throughout the campaign, we hear buyers telling us what they think the property is worth. So every single time a buyer comes through or phones us, we then tell the sellers what they're saying. So eventually in their head, they start realizing this isn't like we're not going to get our mandate. I'll tell you, I sold a property yesterday in Greenstone. Okay. They bought it. It's a crazy story. They bought it in 2018 for 1.5 million Rand. That's how much they bought it for. On the auction, we got in an offer of 1.1 in their pocket, excluding com. So that means somebody's paying about 1.2 or so. We then, throughout the campaign, we also got in a pre-offer of 1.075, excluding com. I phoned them up and I told them, this is what you get. She said, definitely not. We bought it at 1.5. We are not selling it for 1.075. In 2 years, it doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. We kept that offer open till after the auction. We told him to go up. He wouldn't go up. We then proxied up to 1.2 because we knew that the mandate was 1.3 and that we need to keep it as 1.3. Okay, so we proxied it at 1.2. Nobody else came above the 1.2. Couldn't get in an offer, Eventually, we got in an offer from the underbidder at 1.1 on Wednesday. Okay, we took it to her, and what happened? She accepted it. Why did she accept it? I'm talking about 1.1 in her pocket, because throughout the campaign, she knew that people are looking at putting in offers at 1.075, 1.1, 1.15. They're not going to 1.3. So that's what we do throughout the campaign, is that we tell them exactly what the buyers are saying. And that's what also brings down our price if we need to.
Just, Nina, just Philippa's put a comment on there. Phil, at the moment, what we want to do is this. We want to keep the contact point with Spencer. So to be honest, I don't want Nina to get like 450,000 calls after this. So Spencer's already running a spreadsheet that's got our 3 properties on it. And right now, Spencer's going to be the conduit between you, Penina, and us and AuctionInc. And all inquiries, i.e. property, you have to deal with Spencer. So you phone Spencer, you say, Spencer, I've got this property. Spencer will give the details, Penina, and then we'll see from there, obviously assess if it's auction. But just, that's not to say you obviously give the contact details, Penina, but we want the contact to go through Spencer, just to keep everything. And also for us, that we know at all stages, like Spencer and I are running a spreadsheet, which auctions are coming, which auctions are going, how we've done. We can also track the numbers by our side to see how you guys are performing if you're selling our properties.
Correct. We will.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Penina,
Yes, Jeff.
can you hear me? Sorry,
Yes.
I joined the platform late. I battled to get on, so I might have missed it. In terms of the reserve price, do you sit with the seller when you take the mandate to discuss the reserve price?
Definitely. And we're very honest with our sellers. As I said to you, I'm sure you can watch the slide and I'll email you guys the slide, but basically we'll never take on a property that we think is over marketed. We take on properties that are under marketed. So we will sit with those sellers, explain to them what the story is, explain to them what we've sold in the area and what we think they can get for the property. Remember, whenever we're talking to a seller, it's always net price in their pocket.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Sure.
Just a question on the commission. I know from our side, the sellers are always trying to negotiate commission with us. How do you work with that? Are you like 10% and that's it? Or are there some times that you have to renegotiate?
So it's case by case situation. The sellers and the buyers understand that auctions cost a lot more than a regular sale. It's the setup of the auction. It's the auctioneer. There is so much going on, that's so much more. So that's also the reason why we do have such a high commission rate, and every single auction company has this commission rate. The reason why we do that is because if we do need to negotiate in order to close a deal from the seller's side, then we will. But the sellers don't know that. They have nothing to do with the commission the buyers do. And a lot of the time when it's on auction and people are there, they're on site and we are eyeballing them and we tell them before they bid, this is what you have to play, this is what you have to pay, they don't negotiate it. Majority of the time it's only negotiated when we sell a pre-auction offer. That's a lot of the time when our properties are negotiated, our commission's negotiated. It's just an expensive thing.
You say it's got nothing to do with the seller, but assuming we want 10% over and above that price, the seller surely could say, you know, you're taking 10% and you're giving me a lower price. Why can't it be seller related? Why can't the seller say, no, I want you to go at 8% and I don't want 1.1, I want 1.2. So doesn't that come into play?
So we actually never really talk about the commission with the sellers. We usually don't. Sometimes it comes up. Sometimes they'll ask you. I talk very, very quickly when I'm going over commission with the sellers. So I'll be like, don't worry, the buyers pay the commission, and I continue. Do you know what I mean? So I continue on to the next thing so that it doesn't stick with them. All they're thinking is the buyers are paying the commission. They don't care what the percentage is until the offer comes in. But if we've exceeded the mandate price or we got the mandate price, they can't then want to take more. we've got them either exceeded it or we've gotten them the mandate price. And if they've paid over and above that 10%, then we don't. We
So
tried.
Can I ask you, sorry, can I ask, okay, so I understand the seller's not paying the commission and they're not going to bring down that commission at the beginning. When does the buyer want to bring it down from 10 to 8 or 7, etc.? If when you're doing the auction and they bought it at that price, it's already fixed. They can't come to you afterwards and say, I'm willing
Correct.
to pay X, but I know you're charging 10, I want to pay 8.
Correct. So if it's on auction and it sells on auction, then they all pay the 10. Okay, because it's on the auction, it's the auction, this is how the auction system works, and that's it. If for whatever reason it's afterwards and we want to come to an underbidder and say, let's make it work, we'll drop our commission in order to make a deal. That's when it will happen. But if we sell on auction, I could say 99% of the time they're paying the full 10%.
Okay, Penina, let me just last question, and then sell on auction to me means you've hit the mandate price. I know that they used to use certain terminology, the auctioneers, you know that they've over market price or mandate price. Mandate price is a done deal, there's no negotiation. So I'm assuming when you call it underbidders, if you get a bid, let's call it on R1 million, let's call it net number, and the mandate's at 1.1, that's when the negotiation comes in afterwards with the, if need be, on the com to make the deal work. But if you cut it at the auction, it's 10%. There's no negotiation.
Yes, if we've hit the mandate price.
If you've hit the mandate, yeah, 100. Okay.
Okay.
That was lovely.
If you have any more questions, you'll go by. Yeah.
I think everyone should try, or whoever's in Joburg should try and get to the Sunday Orange Grove so we can see how it works. I was blown away when I went to the property that Penina invited me to in Glen Hazel, which I valued the house at 1.7, and they got 1.8 plus another 10%.
1.8.
So 1.85. Can we video it? Can I video it on Sunday, just so that I can share it with those that are not in Joburg, so they can just get a feel for it?
Yeah, I hope we will. I mean, as I said, I hope we will have some sort of an auction. I just don't know if there's going to be as many people as Sunny Road was. But yeah, you definitely can. I'm going to have to get permission from our auctioneer. But yeah, he won't mind.
Okay.
Tell Barney he must let us video him.
Yeah, exactly.
Handsome guy, tell him we want him. Yeah, no auctioneer gets stage fright. This is their job. That's what they do.
We have a top auctioneer. He's great. He really is great.
He's actually funny. He makes it entertaining. He makes it like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Penina. Have a lovely Shabbos. And
You too.
for this, and we look forward to many exciting deals. And yeah, thank you for putting this together. I'm sure we're going to get you lots of properties. We just got to go out and find them.
Thank you. Thanks for this initiation. Thank you, Spencer.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Have a good one.
Okay.
Ciao,
Keep
ciao.
well.
Bye.